You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's another episode of Big Nate Sports Talk podcast with your host, Nathan Snell. This is episode 475. We are talking about the Washington Commanders. Before we get that, there's a few things I'm going to say up front. You should have seen 474 already. I'm going to record this episode as well as 476. That's Maryland football. We got to get ready for Rutgers this weekend in what feels like a must-win game. Maryland men's basketball played this evening against the Georgetown Hoyas, and that was something. So we'll talk about that more than likely tomorrow, if not Sunday. Maryland women's basketball team, they played Georgetown Sunday. Stay tuned in for that. The Ravens, we'll talk about them. We'll probably record that tomorrow, as well as we get ready for the Minnesota Vikings this weekend. Other than that, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, and continue to support the channel and follow me on Twitter. Everything will be in the description below. But the last time you saw the Washington Commanders video, it was with Sean Spencer, and that was a few weeks ago. Since then, a lot has happened from where this team was, and it's been something. I'm going to just run it back a couple games from when we lost to Kansas City Monday night, because I guaranteed us beating the Chiefs, and that did not happen. Unfortunately, that was lost by 21 points. I'm going to keep it real. I thought in that game Monday night against the Chiefs, I thought we had a great first half. Those first three drives, I'm telling you, I felt like we were setting the tone. I know Jada didn't play. Marcus Mariota was the starter. This was prior to the Seahawks game. For those who like, what the hell you talk? What are you talking about, Nathan? I saw energy. I saw, our playmakers. Terry was back on the field. Devo was back on the field. I just saw a different Commanders team that I thought for the past couple games didn't have that energy, didn't have that spark. And I'll be honest, Kansas City was punched in the mouth. And when you look at that for example, I mean, I'll say for that first half, Kansas City was outplayed. I mean, we converted was on 3 of 5, 5 on 5 third downs. We controlled the time of possession. I think it was 17 minutes compared to their almost, I think it was 12 minutes and some like 40-something seconds. And again, I mean, if you look at Mariota's passes, I mean, Mariota was 14 of 7. He had a touchdown. Mahomes had 2 picks. One of them was by Marshawn Lattimore. And again, I think it was, again, when you put pressure on Mahomes and you force him to make bad throws, that's what gets him off his rocker. Um, I just thought that's arguably probably the best. That was probably that was a good half, and then the second half that's an example of Taylor two halves, and then Kansas City they made the adjustments coming out of halftime. I thought what killed us was those first three drives. Though that to me was the biggest takeaway from that game. I get it. Dan Quinn is somebody who, and we saw it last year. You want to take the high risk reward, go for it, all that, and I especially go up against a team like Kansas City. I'm taking the field goals. I understand Matthew Wright is not. I know you're not confident in him as a kicker because they had signed him Wednesday because Matt Gay was dealing with an injury, and then you have to keep your mistakes minimum, like at a bare minimum if when you're playing against the Chiefs, and you damn near have to play perfect and keep your offense on the field for that many fourth down attempts, like against that higher powered offense, like you would have to get to that. You would have to get damn near in the end zone, and I don't know what that was. I'm a little confused. Example, it was on their 18-yard line, if I remember correctly. It was a pass to Debo. I'm mind-boggled by that. And then the next two drives was extremely frustrating because I felt like it should have been 6 points on the board right there. We moved it to their 7-yard. We moved it to their from our own 7-yard line to their own 40. It was a 4th and 6. Zach Ertz was short. Okay. And then he throws it to Terry, and that was a bad pass. And then the same thing. It was poor execution on the fourth downs. You can't take those drives back, but those three drives, I'll keep it. I'll be honest, where they killed us in that game against the Chiefs. Defensively, I saw some improvements. Again, when Marshall Lattimore got the pick on, he was defending Hollywood Brown. He jumped in front of it for his first interception. The next one was deflected off Travis Kelce because Bobby Wagner got underneath, if I remember correctly. So for me, I thought a lot of it was you've got to play faster and you've got to generate turnovers because that's something even that they weren't doing this year. And they did that Monday night against the Chiefs. They did that. Second half, I don't know what that did. And again, it's an old when you don't have the depth that you need, it showed. And again, they can't be contained forever, and they can't be in a box. And the Chiefs just killed us on the ground. It just on both passing and on the ground, especially in the second half. And then again, which transitions me to my next point in the second half. That's what it killed us. Like again, back to my point earlier at Taylor two halves. We allowed too many big plays, and that's been a overall issue. Whether you want to say, well, I know a lot of people want to put the blame on Joe Witt Jr., but I think that's a player. I think it's a personnel issue because again, you're dealing with injuries. You don't have, and also you're dealing with inconsistencies all across the board. I mean, of the 249 yards of the 3 touchdowns, 105 of that were on 4 plays. Travis Kelce's 38-yard catch and run, if I remember correctly, which set up Kareem Hunt for his touchdown. Juju Smith-Schuster, his catch. Mr. Rice, I don't know why he threw the ball at my man's head, which caused him a penalty. And then I still don't think that really his next play, the next play he made, I don't really care because he had a 25-yard catch, if I remember correctly, and then that was taken away. But needless to say, our offense didn't respond in the second half at all. And when your defense when your offense is not helping, that's putting more pressure on your defense. We didn't make any adjustments. Those last, and I'll go back to we looked overall flat. I mean, it doesn't matter if it was dropped. It wasn't matter if Mariota was dropping back to pass or we were trying to find running on the ground. I mean, all we can manage as a cohesive unit was 66 yards. That's it as an offense.
He didn't even try.
Mm-hmm. I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
And like, I'm not going to really give like the Terry's sideline catch. I mean, that was nice, but I like we moved backwards after his catch. That put us out of field goal range, if I remember correctly, and we had to punt the ball. Our run game has been something we'll talk about as we talk about the Seahawks game, because if I remember correctly, we only had 18 rushing yards, and we finished with 60. Marcus Mariota was our leading rusher with 28. Nobody else carried the ball no more than nine times.
I mean, this is some bad stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I just don't know. This is ridiculous. Oh, Lord.
And then to add on to that, Terry got hurt with his quad. Then Tunzel, he dealt with a hamstring. But shout out to Brandon Coleman, he stepped in there. And that's been a glaring thing to see most of the season so far. The injuries is kind of coming at the worst, most possible time. But outside of that, to wrap it all up for this game was we got out-coached. For one half, we looked good, and then the second half, we just looked like a totally different team. And I can't really put all the blame on the defense because I for the most part, and you'll hear me say that I'm not going to really say it for this. You're kind of hear me say it when we talk about the Seahawks game, but they've been taking their lumps. They've been taking it most of the season, and again, they gave the offense a chance in the first half, and the offense for 3 drives didn't make up for it. Now, if Cliff Kingsbury does not get any blame, most of us should agree he should have gotten blamed for that. You have to take some type of opportunity away from that. Like I said, there should have been 6 points on the board, in my personal opinion. Yeah, I mean, we see regressions across the board, and so far, what I've seen so far these last few weeks, absolutely. But they responded in the game. But you're going to kind of hear me say this again. We could sit here and we could talk about how this team is older and, like, for example, Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, and different things like that. But at the end of the day, actually, you know what? I'm going to save that for the Seahawks after the Seahawks one. But I'm going to take a quick break because I have to mentally prepare for the recap of the Seahawks one because that really. I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. And Thursday we played the Sea Chicken Sunday night, and Lord, if that wasn't something, the final score was 38-14.
I just don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. This is disgusting. It's disgraceful. It's embarrassing. And I'm ticked off. It don't make any sense. This is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And something needs to be done about it. Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Ooh-wee. Okay. Where do I begin? Well, we have now lost 4 in a row, and we've lost 5 of our last 6. And we've lost 3 in a row by 21 points or more. That's embarrassing. I myself, I'm young. I have seen some bad football that could be as I go back 1999, 98 when I started walking. Okay. Because my dad could tell me most about some of those Redskin teams as early as the 80s and 90s. But I really didn't start watching until the Ravens got here, which is 96. Okay. That's then, this is now. I'm not going to go that far, but this was probably the most disappointing game I've ever seen. I mean, you're at home, it's Sunday night, and we come out looking like that. This is bad. Like, our head coach is a defensive minded coach. I mean, last year not last year before, Jack Del Rio, Ron Rivera, I don't recall. I mean, well, they had their moments, but that's besides the point. In fairness, I context matters. When Joe Witt Jr. got here, he took over a defense that was not the best. Dan Quinn took over a team that many people said needed to be torn up, X, Y, and Z. Like, I get that Witt has to make some improvements. He should make adjustments, but at some point, like, what does he really have to work with? Like, you can't fix, and I kind of look at it the same way with the Ravens with Zach Orr. You can't with the magic wand change things within 9 weeks. This is what you have, and this is what you have to work with. That's just the reality. Like, I mean, I saw a defense that I thought in the first half looked good against the Chiefs the week before, okay? And then, well, this past weekend, we took at least 7 steps backwards. I mean, what was that? Yeah, we don't have we try to play man coverage, but yet all our corners don't know how to do that. Guys are again regressing. Is that that could help me understand that? For example, we can blame coaching, but we can also too hold players accountable. Because if there's something that maybe something that you're not grasping in practice or you're not understanding in film, or maybe there's a how can I say this? There's players I think that I think fit better in certain systems, and well, maybe and again, I don't know if it's just certain guys are just flashes in the pan, or maybe need to make some adjustments. But whatever happened from what happened last year, I can't find certain guys from this year, and I'm trying to understand what's hard to process. That we can blame coaching, but we also have to hold players accountable. Because last time I checked, they get checks too, and like this defense is just is lethargic right now as a whole, and they play Detroit this weekend here. As far as this offensive line goes, I'm going to break it. Now, in fairness, Tons has been dealing with injuries. Sam Cosmi's coming off an injury. Josh Connolly, who I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to be that person today, who individual said, well, I would trade the first round pick that we had, which we drafted him, because you don't find talent that deep in the first round, which is a total misconception. I don't know where that came from, but he's a rookie, and I think he will get better. Okay, so Brandon Coleman obviously was moved to left guard. Chris Paul replaced him, but last year. But obviously, we know Tunzel can deal with injuries, so Coleman took over at left tackle, and Tunzel gave him high praise for doing well. Okay, but when Tunzel's been out there, he's looking great. But this group, this unit as a whole, is not looking impressive. And I know people are going to be quick to you can't scapegoat the line. That I think that's just disingenuous, because I'm looking at a total lot of things. I'm looking at the run blocking is mediocre. Jaden has been injured, and I think the question I think we have to ask ourselves, where has the progression at? And that's for the guys that have been here: Chris Paul, Brandon Coleman, Tyler Badez, Cosmi. I know, again, he's coming off an injury. So again, context and that kind of matters. Okay. I am not from looking at the game, I am not quite sure about our running game going forward. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, when Austin Eckler went down with his Achilles injury, they said, the keys are now in your hand. He is a talented running back. However, he is not an every down back. That is the nicest way I can say that. And especially in his rookie year, I think he's on pace the way he's going, I think he can finish the season with about somewhere between 900 and 1,000 yards, in my opinion. But in order to have a somewhat of a successful run game, we've got to lean on. I hate to say it this way, but I got to go towards McNichols and Chris Rodriguez, because Chris Rodriguez last year, for example, was arguably the best pure runner on this team. I mean, he runs low, strong, and he did well in the game Sunday. I mean, don't get me wrong, Bill and Jeremy, they definitely need to get touches on, because I think I think all three have something different to the offense. But in fairness, you might not get that from Rodriguez every game. So right now, I don't know what our run game is right now, because it's all over the place. It just looks bad. as a whole. Uh, Jaden. Um, Seattle has I'm going to say arguably one of a top 10 defense. I'm going to go as far as I think it's a top 5 defense this year. Their pass rush made Jaden Daniels uncomfortable. He was pressured, if I saw this stat correctly, 51 times every time he was dropping back to pass, which he had to run for his life most of those sacks. He was sacked 4 times. One of those was a 10-yard loss, if I remember correctly. It was on 3rd and 4th, where we had to punt the ball in the 3rd quarter. Okay. Outside of Deebo Samuel and Zach Ertz, I'm going to put them to the side. I couldn't find anybody else offensively. I mean, our running game was not as successful. Again, thanks to their defense, pass rush defense, because that puts more. And this is where my criticism on Jaden comes in, because Jaden doesn't have. I feel like when the offense struggles, and Lamar was like this, and Lamar still has tendencies to this, where Jaden wants to be Superman, and sometimes, to me, he wants to make a play by himself. And there are moments I saw that Sunday, and that to me feels like that's not a bad thing, but the fact that you have to make a play by yourself, and from Cliff Kingsbury's standpoint, okay, I have to make an adjustment to simplify the offense to move down the field, and my quarterback has to take it into his own hands to do that. That's a problem for me. And also too, his decision making at times in the pocket is at times can be very suspect. He can hold on to at times he was holding on the ball too long. But again, credit their defense. And again, the mistakes that we, for example, both sides of the ball, but also too, self-inflicting mistakes will cost you a game. I'm going to say that again. Self-inflicting mistakes will cost you a game. And that really happened, especially when you start the game with an illegal blindside block that took you which obviously is 15 yards, and then to your own 26. And 3 plays later, they had to punt the ball.
What the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing?
Now, if I remember correctly, on that next drive, I thought they did better. I think, but again, it's another 15-yard penalty. I think it was a 3rd and 2. Then, unfortunately, went to a 3rd and 17. And then Jaden, unfortunately, threw an interception on that next play. And then Seattle was up 14-0. Jalen Lane, he fumbled the ball on the kick.
What the hell was that?
And then which gave him another touchdown, which obviously put him up 21-0. And we just could not get out of a pit that we put ourselves into. That was disgusting, obviously. And Sam Darnold was a perfect. You talk about the first half. He completed his first 17 passes. And I mean, Lord have mercy. Like his first 4 had 4 completions of at least 10 yards. On that 90-yard touchdown drive. And like, for example, I think it was the Torrey Horton on the second touchdown reception. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Elijah Arreo who put him up 21-0. And then Cody White, if I remember correctly, was a catch and run. That game with I mean, most of that night, if I remember correctly, we were given, I think we almost allowed 14 yards per pass. I think that's the most in the game since 2012. If I remember correctly. Yeah, that was pretty embarrassing. Now, from the Seahawks standpoint, I'm going to say this. Now, I said this a few years ago with a wide receiver. He's actually on their roster, but he was with the now the Los Angeles Rams, and I still think he still should have gotten consideration for MVP. But the way Jackson Smith and Jigba's playing, Jackson Smith and Jigba should be in the conversation for MVP.
Guaranteed.
I know that's not realistic, but he is having one hell of a year, and that's just not this game. But I mean, what he's at, I think he's actually, the way he's playing, he could be the first player at the pace he's going to surpass 2,000 yards. The closest was Brother Megatron in 2012, and then Cooper Kupp was 2021. So, because he's right now at 948 yards as of this past weekend in only 8 games. That is that's impressive. And again, from his rookie year till now, I've just seen him, and again, someone who's in the Big Ten, seen him steadily improve his game. But I mean, he's had, if I remember correctly, I think 79 yards in each game. I think he just draws. You see the growth in his game, but credit their pass rush. Sam Darnold. I think we need to give Sam Darnold some credit. He is having a good year. I don't know why certain individuals on TV, Stephen A. Smith, keep bringing up last year in the playoffs. That was last year, and this is now. Seattle paid him, and the Seahawks are looking like they made the right decision for moving on from Geno Smith, because my God, that's oof. I'm leaving it alone. But to finish 16 of 16 in the first half, 4 touchdowns, no picks, and especially with Clint Kubiak, son of Gary Kubiak's offense, I can't ignore Sam. Last couple years, he has gotten there's been a how do I say it? Thank you, AJ. A new leaf, a shift, and I think his strengths getting better, because I know obviously we know from him being drafted by the Jets, and we all kind of saw that worked out to see where he's at now, and his breakout year from last year. It's really gotten better. Now, and again, he did this too with no Cooper Kupp, so I don't know how that would have been if Cooper was out there. Other than that, I think they have a really good chance of being a potential threat in their conference. Their division, from where they're at. Because outside of that, I know they play the Cardinals, if I remember correctly. Because I think Kylie's been dealing with a foot injury. I think he's done for some time. So now Jacoby Brissett's starting. San Francisco. The way I interpret that, Brock Purdy should not have came back that fast from a turf toe injury. So I think his toe he's not 100%. So Mac Jones is still going to be the starter. And then there's the Rams. So that's going to be a bloodbath in that division for sure. But it's going to be interesting to see, most definitely. But outside of that, it's a great game for the Seahawks and well-deserved. But for the Commanders, And I'm going to wrap it up on this last note. And obviously, I've seen. It doesn't matter if it was on radio, if it was TV, it was other podcasts. I've heard all the talk. Because me personally, I don't really react to stuff right after games because I feel like everything is kind of, especially after a day, because sometimes I like to let things marinate and kind of process everything. So we all know what happened in the game. So Jaden was injured on a 2-yard sack less than 8 minutes in the fourth quarter. And he landed on his elbow. It was pretty nasty. It was a bad injury. We all know what it was. So my understanding, his elbow was dislocated, but he doesn't need surgery. The way how I interpreted it, everything. So he will be out for some time. I don't think it's the season, which means Mariota will be starting in his place. Now, the most important thing is he had no ligament damage, no surgery is needed. Thank God. And they said, because our bye week is week 12, he's going to be reevaluated. Me personally, I don't know why he wants to seek other options. Let the elbow heal. He has dealt with this isn't multiple injuries. He was already injured coming into this game, and I don't see why just sitting him out indefinitely right now, let him get fully healthy makes more sense. Now, as far as that goes, in the game, I understand it's not a good look when your team was down by that many points with less than 8 minutes in the fourth quarter. But I have a question. Coming out of the locker room at halftime, the team was down 21 points. So then this is a rhetorical question. Would you have sat Jaden Daniels down at that point? My answer would have been yes, because Marshawn Lattimore is out for the year now. Debo is coming off an injury. Terry is dealing with an injury. Sam Cosmi is recovering from an injury a year ago. I mean, I'm not trying to sit here and try to make excuses and act like, well, like collectively, we should have just set all the number ones down and just put the bench players out there, put the 2s and 3s. Like, I guess in hindsight, I think Dan Quinn knows he might have screwed that one up, but I look at it from this perspective. Offensively, we looked lethargic mostly all night. Somebody's got to give me a spark. And and I'm one of those believers, you play until the whistle blows. Now, me personally, the way everyone was playing, I would have had all the starters down at halftime. That's just me. But I don't think that warrants Dan Quinn to be public enemy number one, because again, like Jaden, we already should kind of know him coming in out of LSU. He has an injury history, and there's like that to me. I looked at it as a freak injury. Like that could have happened to anybody. I mean, Luke McCaffrey got hurt on the opening kickoff. I mean, it's like injuries are going to happen, and Like even I guess I'll give you a good example. A couple years ago, actually, the Baltimore Ravens are playing the Miami Dolphins. I can't remember who it was. They might have been Bradley Chubb. Somebody. They had their starters out there defensively. Got hurt. Why they were out there, I don't know. But in this game, I get it. Less than 8. Now, if it was like 3 minutes and some change, he's still out there. Okay, that's excessive. But I mean, if I'm trying to get a spark going for my offense, if that's like the last play, sure. But no, I just feel like it's unfortunate he got hurt. The context of it looks bad, but when you are down, when you're down 21 points going into halftime and then coming out the halftime, like somebody's got to give me something. And that's my point. That's how I look at it. As far as this week goes, we're playing the Detroit Lions, and hey, not looking forward to that one. Obviously, we already know how the Detroit Lions are, and we just got to figure out how to get this one going. And it's going to be interesting to see how we look against this. JJ McCarthy should be back. No, JJ McCarthy. I'm sorry, not the Vikings. No, with the Lions, right? We already know that their running back duo with Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, but their defense is something, and they will really get it going on the ground. So we got to figure out how to get our running game going, and that even if that get Bill, Chris, Jeremy early, we got to get them touches on the ball somehow. And again, like context match with the run game this year, when you don't have Terry, Noah Brown, Luke McCaffrey, like that's going to make defenses stack the box, and we have to overcommit to the run. So of course the offensive line is going to look a little bit more like, damn, like hold your blocks, because we've rushed for over 100 yards in the last 4 losses, and most of those yards, those are empty calorie loss. Those are empty calorie loss yards. So I mean, I think if I remember correctly, we are 11th in run block when with Jacory, Jeremy McNichols, Chris Rodriguez, Mariota, and Deebo Samuel. So that's gonna be interesting to see. I'm curious to really see how we're going to generate some type of pressure on Jared Goff. I feel bad for Joe Witt Jr. because I feel like he's going to be a scapegoat for issues. I think there's some things that he could fix, but I think there were some things that were out of his control he could fix. Like, it's not his fault that we chose to sign a 35 linebacker, or we did not really invest in our secondary the way we should have. But that's neither here nor there. But to me, we got to figure out how to generate a pass rush on Jared Goff. But again, injuries there too, contacts, empty shelf. But people don't see it like that. But that's okay. And then for me, you gotta just you're at home, and I feel like when you're at home, fans give you that extra confidence, give you that extra boost, all that other stuff. So I feel like we're at home. I think we got the crowd behind our back. We just got to let's just establish grit and grind early. I think if we could do the same things like we did against the Chiefs, I think we'll be okay. I'm curious to see how we'll do on the special teams now that Luke's out, because he had the second most kick return yards in the NFL. Because Jalen, will more likely be our go-to guy now, and then obviously Debo too. So again, now guys are doing more, but that's okay. So establish a pass rush from Jared Goff, winning the run game up front, containing Gibbs and Montgomery, taking something away from that. With Lattimore now out, I'm curious to see how defensively they will do against Amon-Ra St. Brown. Not just Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. That's going to be interesting to really see. Yeah. I'm going to say Lions 31, Commanders 24.
Guaranteed.
I see a score like that, but who knows? So, I think they'll be okay. I think they'll figure it out because I think there's a turnaround. We'll just gotta see how it looks. But yeah, this has been something because I'm seeing some crash outs, and some of them are valid crash outs, but I think some of them are I don't know. I think that's just part of the fandom because not even a year ago, I mean, we again embraced Dan Quinn, like that's the guy I wear in my locker room, and now all of a sudden it's I want this guy traded. And listen, when you have the 8th toughest schedule and you're dealing with injuries, and let's be honest, what was this roster really built to compete this year? I don't think so. And Adam Peters should be held accountable for that. But I know some people will give him a pass for that, which is kind of mind-boggling. Because again, with Joe Witt, he's dealing with injuries. So guys from last year to me have regressed. And to me, I feel like, is it a player thing? I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a coaching thing, and I think it's a player thing. Then with Cliff Kingsbury, please don't get me started with him. I saw it with Arizona, and I'm trying to understand like what. Yeah, but anywho, I'm not going to throw in the towel. I think for me, I'm just more frustrated with and I've learned this even with the Ravens. I think every team's going to go through the motions, and that's human. But I think maybe it's just this new fandom. It's not all, but I think because the Commanders are struggling, now it's just seems like everyone just wants to just throw in the towel and not kind of like, you're going to see stuff like this. But I don't know. We'll see. But I think these boys will be all right. Just give it some time. And, also too, that once we get to the bye week, once we get some key players back, but I mean, these guys who are done for the year, but, Terry, he's out. So be nice to get him fully healthy back in the bye week, after the bye week. Debo, I know, is done healthy. Jaden probably will mostly done indefinitely. I just can't see someone coming back from a dislocated elbow like that. And I think he could really use the bye week. I think he can use that time to really get healthy personally. But we just got to see. But until then, this is your host, Nathan Snell, Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Thank you for tuning in this episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe for our future content. I will catch you on the flip side. Peace. Stay up.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode and you want to see more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you.
This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out. Because it matters.
So when are we going to say something about it? You know what? I'm going to walk away. I'll be right back because I'm scared I'm going to say something.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Well, what happened was that second game, we got our ass kicked. Or the second half, we just got our ass totally kicked. We couldn't do diddly, poo, off. Could've, would've, should've is the difference of what I'm talking about. The good teams don't come in and say could've. They get it done. All right? It's that simple. I'm tired of saying could've, should've, would've. That's why we ain't good enough yet. Because we're saying could've and they ain't.
This is how I believe, okay? I'm from the old school. I believe this. I would rather play with 10 people and just get penalized all the way until we got to do something else, rather than play with 11 when I know that right now that person is not sold out to be a part of this team. It is more about them than it is about the team. I cannot play with them, cannot win with them, cannot coach with them, can't do it. I want winners. I want people that want to win.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game. Another game.
I'm going to reiterate my comments right here, right now. The clock is officially ticking. The honeymoon is over. Damn your feelings. Who gives a damn? You got a job to do. And the job ain't even a championship. It's